Knock, knock, it's Knuckles.
I can't believe I'm back to a Sonic Mania video so soon. Back in August, I took on one of the toughest challenges I could possibly do in the Without Defeating a Badnik series, and I thought I'd have to wait a long time to return to this game for a challenge, but something interesting was asked of me. On the very first Knuckles channel stream, a viewer/friend of mine asked if it was possible to go through the Chaos Emerald stages in Sonic Mania without going past Mach 1.
Get the Emerald in Mach 1? Ooh, that's a good one. Huh. I wonder if I could actually do that. But I'd have to try to like take advantage of any shortcuts I get. I don't know, that sounds like a fun one.
For the uninitiated, Sonic Mania special stages are a 3D race to the Emerald, and collecting blue spheres would allow for Sonic to get an increase in speed by going from Mach 1 to Mach 2 to Mach 3. While it does allow for higher speeds, the downside is the lack of control when it comes to turning. After playing the game on and off for the last 8 years, I've never had an issue going through these special stages, so let's try this challenge out. The rules are simple, in fact they're incredibly simple. Make it to the UFO carrying a Chaos Emerald without going into Mach 2 or Mach 3. I can collect blue spheres because they're littered all around. Avoiding these would be even more impossible, so I kinda have to do it. The challenge is over when I collect all 7 Chaos Emeralds or when I give up, and because this is Knuckles' channel, we gotta play as the Red Boy himself. So, is it possible to beat Sonic Mania special stages in Mach 1 only? Let's find out. To begin figuring out my goal, I had to run some test playthroughs of the first stage to understand how the UFO works and how Sonic affects it. Already, it's not looking good. The Emerald starts off with a good head start, and Sonic is not fast enough to catch up in Mach 1. That's why it's a bit harder to control turns at higher speeds. You'll be able to catch up to it, but that's your trade-off. Anyway, someone threw out the idea of going backwards to catch up to it, which for the observant viewers and players would be way too easy. As you can see, the UFO will go backwards when the player does, so there has to be another way. This is where I have to say I kinda found a resource to use. This is also where I'm gonna have to say this challenge has been done before. Many times. Mr. HRC3 was able to complete this feat 2 years ago, but I was curious to see if I could be successful at it. And things get even more awkward as the Mania stages were completed by Darkspine Sonic 8 years ago. So once again, I'm very late to a Sonic Mania challenge. Story of my life, I guess. I highly suggest checking out the videos from both creators, but they were amazing resources and it didn't take much to figure out what was going on. When you move in one direction and jump in another, you can move at a slightly faster speed. For the sake of this video, I'm going to call it side hopping. Another is utilizing the bumpers to bounce off at a higher speed and hopping to maintain that speed. These do wonders in covering so much ground, but I have to be able to execute this. With all of that established, how did I do? At the start of stage 1, I had an idea of how to use the bumpers, but clearly I did not know how to maintain my speed on grass. It's as simple as continuously hopping, and I didn't understand that at first, so things looked very rough. On another attempt, I had the bumper part down until I was sent backwards. That kind of killed the progress because I didn't have too many rings on me, so I would eventually time out. The next attempt was where I was foolish and ran the second half of the stage normally to collect rings, and when I went from bumper to bumper again, the emeralds went a little bit faster to get away. I ran through the last bit once again, was able to jump a corner to grab the first emerald, but this was pretty embarrassing. I was clearly making this far more difficult for myself than it should have been. Anyways, on to stage 2. This threw a wrench in my strategy at first because of the bottomless pits, and I was still trying to figure out side hopping. That and the spikes made it tough to jump as I please. After 6 tries, I had somewhat of an understanding of the side hops and was able to grab emerald number 2. But damn, was that a close call. Stage 3 is where I began to experiment with the bumpers, but serious work would need to be done to improve my movement. The biggest thing that stopped me was hitting a bumper that would send me backwards. It took many attempts, but I finally got it with some weird stuff happening. I went so fast I was able to trick the game into thinking I was going the other way around, and the emerald is mine. I got really close on stage 4 but fell into a pit. The second attempt might as well have not counted because of the loss of speed that made it impossible to get back. Attempt number 3 was the one, and it only took a few seconds. This is where I really felt like I understood how to gain speed and maintain it. Stage 5 throws in spikes, and if I stay to the left, I run the risk of falling off. Attempt number 2 could have been the one, but hitting the spikes made me more aware of my timer, so I failed. Third time was the charm apparently because I got it once again. These narrow hallways are the best. There were no walls on the first turn on stage 6, so that kind of messed me up. Missing the bumper on the next attempt led to another fail. If I was successful, then I could have caught up to the emerald and get close enough. I had far too many close calls with the spikes on the next attempt, but I grabbed emerald number 6, and we have one more to go. With few bumper walls, I had to rely on side hopping to make it through. For the first few attempts, I wanted to use the bumpers for the extra bit of speed, but I either kept snagging on the first wall or I would slow down completely. Eventually, I was able to clear the corner at a decent speed and was able to side hop to the final Chaos Emerald to complete the challenge. So yeah, that was kind of tough. It's one thing to learn how to get the most out of the bumpers and the side hops to build up speed, but after getting that and navigating some of the tough stages, I can say this wasn't too bad. It was frustrating, but... Oh, I see. I guess we do have 7 more stages to go through. I'm gonna regret this, aren't I? My confidence at the end of stage 7 goes away about as fast as you would think. Encore stage 1 was a humbling experience as I would fall victim to the same 3 things: hitting a bumper that sent me backwards, falling off, and running out of time from the bombs or poor optimization. This went on until I had about 17 minutes of attempts and got very close. After another 13 minutes, here's what happened. I hit the bumpers on the left and right. Normally, I would want to attempt to hit the one on the first turn, but I wanted to cut corners. From there was a lot of side hopping, which let me discover that if I hit the spring at whatever speed I go at it with, it will maintain it. After a few more turns, there was a bumper that allowed me to launch myself into the path of the emerald, and now we can finally play. Stage 2, and bye. It has some areas with moving spikes, so that's going to be a little harder to anticipate, but the same hallway is what got me super close, and all I had to do was side hop into a spring and grab emerald number 2. Don't get me wrong, I struggled with this too and flew off at a high speed, which was actually kind of funny. But yeah, we're on to Emerald 3. At the start, what the hell? Never had that one happen before. After flying off one more time, I grabbed the emerald. It was pretty fast. There wasn't really too much to it. Stage 4's obstacles are floating bumpers. Because I'm not going at them head on, I tend to miss them, so I end up falling into the abyss. Aside from that, the single bumper wall is making me come super close to the edge. I only got the emerald because I side hopped into a spring and hit a bumper wall to launch into it. Stage 5 has the similar floating bumpers, but at this point I'm breezing through them in 4 to 5 attempts. There's not much of note here. The final one had a large hop over a corner that I wasn't intending on doing, but just so happened to work in my favor to grab the emerald. The first attempt of stage 6 might have been quick if I was able to hop over a sharp turn since it had no wall bumpers. Attempts 2 and 3 had promising starts, but user error led me to fly off. The 4th attempt allowed me to jump that corner I mentioned earlier, and I have 1 emerald remaining. We're so close. Stage 7 is torture. This stage must be finished before the emerald can make it to the branching path, or else I'm stuck having to attempt circling around to the start and giving it another attempt. For 25 minutes, I fell over and over and over and timed out, then fell over and was ready to give up. At this point, I knew what I was trying to do, but it just wasn't going as planned. After so many close calls, this is what I got to show for it. At the start, I bounced back and forth until I was ready to hop over the floating platforms. Then I zigzagged through until I got to the bumper walls and used those to launch myself into the UFO and collected emerald number 7, completing the challenge in Encore mode. So can I beat the emerald stages in Sonic Mania in Mach 1 only? Well, the discovery of other creators doing this should have been a sign, but the answer is yes. That's right, I could do this. I just hated the challenge when I got to the Encore stages. I was not as aware of the lack of bumper walls as I should have been, but I can finally join the ranks of people who do dumb challenges like these. And if I want to add something to note, when I got to stages 4, 5, and 6 in Encore mode, it was a breeze. I understand it took me a couple of attempts, but I was just flying through these compared to the rest. When I did beat the Encore stages, I went back to the Mania ones, and they were so much easier to beat. One of them was literally 3 seconds. You go super fast with these. I kind of wish we can get new classic games with stages that have self-imposed challenges that can be made, something along the lines of Mania, but from what I've noticed, it's either avoid a thing or grab a thing, and there's no room for a challenge. And don't say no rings, because that's not a real challenge, because a lot of them rely on having rings. And I think that'll just about do it. Hey everyone, thanks for checking out today's video, and yeah, let me know what you think about it. Should I do more challenges in this format? I understand it's very similar to Without Defeating a Badnik over on the main channel, but let me know what you think. And if you want to see more scripted videos, again, always sound off in the comment section down below. I'm always looking for suggestions, always looking for ideas. Just remember to keep it within reason. And if you like the video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and don't forget to check out my social media stuff. Everything's going to be in the description. Check out GottaBeFrank, which is my main channel. And with that said, that'll do it. I hope you have a wonderful and safe day. I'll catch you in the next one, but until then, take care. Bye-bye.